What's up everyone, it's Jeremy. If you enjoy my content, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and the bell so you don't miss out. Appreciate y'all. What's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Great weather we're having, huh? Unfortunately, that's just kind of one of the things that you deal with when you live in the Mid-Atlantic. We get all 4 seasons, so some years you're riding every month, other years it's like what you see. It's cold, it's rain, it's snow, salt, brine, all sorts of shit all over the road too. So, I mean, can't always get out there like you want to. Now for those that have been following the channel for a little while, you know that my niche kind of falls into motorcycles and traveling. And when I can't get out there to travel on the motorcycle, I wanted to be able to create additional content that is maybe adjacent so that I don't have a content drought. One of the things I was thinking of is something I'm actually pretty passionate about, which is EDC, or everyday carry, as you guys may have heard before. Because realistically, whether you're traveling by car or motorcycle or plane, you're carrying something. You never leave the house, most likely without your keys, your wallet, and your phone at least. But there's those of us that carry a little bit more depending on where we're going and what we're going to be doing. So that's going to be something I want to cover a little bit today. I'm not going to go in too much depth. That'll be a different video for EDC entirely. And I'll be honest with you, there's a few other content creators out there like Taylor Martin or MarineX or a few others that kind of do that a little bit better than me as far as breaking down what EDC is and all the different ways you can do different things. I wanted to focus on one thing that I feel like every person should have on them at any given time, which is an ability to cut. So whether it's a pocket knife or a fixed blade knife or a Gerber pry brit or a Milwaukee fastback or a TPT slide or even just a regular old box cutter, I can't imagine not having anything to be able to cut something with. I've been doing this ever since I was a kid. I think my dad gave me my first pocket knife, a little old beater at 10 years old, and I've always had one on me ever since, and they are completely 100% indispensable. So with that said, my current EDC pocket knife that I keep with me is the Benchmade Bugout. Great knife. S30V steel, it's the CF Elite Edition, so it's got some carbon fiber scales. Fantastic knife. But I wanted to upgrade a little bit, and I've been hearing a lot about Magnacut, and I really just kind of wanted to give it a shot. And last year for Black Friday, Blade HQ ran a sale. I was able to pick up a Hogue Deka version 2 pretty cheap. Wasn't the color I wanted for the scales, but I've also got a fix for that too. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to change out some scales for the knives and a little bit of routine knife maintenance. Like, again, I'm not going to go into too much detail. If you're a knife nerd, you already know what to do, and you probably already have way more different oils and ways to apply them and tools and things like that. But for the everyman, for somebody that just needs a daily knife to do random tasks with, this is going to be more geared towards that. Just a simple changing of the scales, oiling the pivot screws and stuff, and making sure the action is fluid. So we're going to do a little bit of an unboxing. Like I said, I got this on a special from Blade HQ, well, special, Black Friday sale on Blade HQ. And I didn't get the color I wanted with the scale, but you know what? I was going to change them anyway, so I wasn't really worried about it. But when you get the knife, get your standard kind of little pouch for them. And you know what? Blue's my favorite color. I don't hate it. It's nice, but it's not for me. Like, I wouldn't want to, I mean, I would carry it if I didn't have any other knives to carry, but I'm vain and I want to change the color of it. little, yeah, she's got decent action for fresh out of the box. But we're gonna kind of fix that when we remove the pivot screw. We'll oil it up a little bit, see if we can get that action a little bit smoother. Or it also could just be the angle that I have it at as well for filming. Overall, pretty solid feel. I like it. These are also the scales we're going to be using from Flytanium. I've heard great things about Flytanium for their Bugout scales and various other different knives that they make scales for, and I saw that these were titanium. There's your underside and your outside for it. So we're going to go from blue to black. These are pretty sturdy. I'm looking forward to that. And they're also pretty lightweight. Now, one thing I didn't particularly like about the Bugout is how much you could kind of flex the scales on this. So when you get the knife open, if you can kind of see where if you squeeze hard enough, they bend. Not a deal breaker. This thing's never given me any issues. I've never had any problems, never had any worry that this was ever going to break. But Taylor Martin did a really good video where he compared this knife to the Walmart Ozark Trail, I guess Benchmade knockoff, and put it through a torture test to see what all you could do with them. And one of the fail points that was discovered is right about here. Now, at that point, for that to break, you're really abusing this knife. Like, this knife is not meant for batoning. It's not meant for prying. It's not meant for anything other than, you know, your kind of usual everyday cutting tasks. But it's still a fail point. So you always got to keep that in the back of your mind. While it is carbon fiber to a degree, you know, you still can't be beating the shit out of this knife. That's why I kind of want to switch to the titanium. Hopefully it's going to take that flex away. And you know what? Let's see if this one also flexes. Ooh, you know what? This one doesn't really flex because if you take a look, you got one more barrel screw in there right there in the center. That would probably solve a lot of those issues I dislike about the Bugout here, which, like I said, the Bugout's an amazing knife. Love it. This thing melts in your pocket, super lightweight, and they both, honestly, pretty similar in size. And pretty similar in weight as well, too. I don't have the specs on the weight. I'll have to look that up. Unfortunately, my scale's broken to be able to weigh this stuff because I actually wanted to weigh the stock version versus the titanium version I'm going to put on there and see how it goes. But yeah, you're missing one barrel screw that could have been in the center there to kind of shore this up a little bit so you don't have that little bit of flexing that you can kind of get out of it. By no means am I getting rid of this knife. I'm not retiring or anything. I'm still going to probably carry it, but this is S30V steel and I wanted to try Magnacut and see how good that works. You know, I just can't stop fidgeting with this knife. That's one of the downsides to knives with smooth actions like that. They become, ooh, that kind of stuck a little bit there. You know, just have to break it in a little bit. They become fidget toys, which, you know, be careful, you could hurt yourself with that. So what is Magnacut, right? Magnacut it's been called the miracle steel because realistically, out of all the knives, they really fall into like three categories, which is edge retention, toughness of the knife, and corrosion resistance. And usually most steels get 2 out of the 3. Magnacut, however, it's pretty good at all 3. It's impressive. It was developed by Dr. Laren Thomas. He's a metallurgist engineer, and the knife the steel was designed to have no chromium carbides after the final heat treat to it. So it's actually pretty amazing the stuff that you could do. The fact that you got enough toughness in the knife, enough hardness in the knife that you don't feel like you're going to break it or chip it, but also it keeps its edge and, you know, also doesn't corrode if you find yourself out there in the rain or around salt water. I mean, I'm sure that stuff can still happen to it, but for the things that most people are going to do, probably not anything you really got to worry about. I'm excited to see how this performs over the next year or so as my main EDC knife versus how the Benchmade performed for me as well too. All right, so one thing with taking off scales, if you don't feel comfortable, make sure you tape the knife off, that way you don't cut yourself. But I'm gonna take a quick break. This pivot screw, the bitch to get off. But take your pivot screw out. We're gonna remove this side first. Now, one thing that you may have seen that is different from the Flytanium scales from some of the others that exist on the market, they're not exactly lined up to where you can take one side off and put it on and put the other side on. You're gonna have to completely disassemble the knife. So you're gonna have to take out this side, the other side, the barrel screws, and even the other side of the pivot, and get it down completely to almost full disassembly. All the screws, thankfully, are T8s from Hogue. That is awesome. But most generally tend to range around T8 to T6 on most knives I've ever really worked on. So I'm going to go ahead and speed this part up. This is the boring part of everything here, is just disassembly, and be done in a second. Alright, so there you go, almost a complete full disassembly. So we've got both scales removed, barrel nuts removed, the pivot's completely removed out of there as well, and we're going to go ahead and start putting these guys on. From what I've seen, this screw should still line up because you can move the other barrel screws over to be able to accommodate it. It'll make it slightly longer. If you want to see a comparison between stock and Flytanium. We're going to go ahead and set these guys over here and start getting this together. Gonna make sure you get all the holes lined up. Now with the pivot screw, might be a little hard to see, but you got a flat end in there that matches up with your flat end here. So all you gotta do is get that lined up. Pivot screw goes right back in. All right, so yeah, it took a little convincing, and one thing too, if you're gonna change out the scales, to make something a little bit easier too, is you got to bring your crossbar lock down when you're trying to fit that all through. I didn't know that at first. I was beating my head against the wall for a quick couple seconds wondering why the hell it wasn't going through, and that's why. Yeah, that's on me. But you know, all you do is make sure that this is in there here, and everything should go back to working as normal. The only thing at that point would be put your barrel nuts here and make sure you put your pocket clip back on. Then we should have good action. Now, I did lube a little bit of this up with some KPL. So this stuff's pretty freaking awesome. So I did have that on there as well too. It should have some smooth action. If not, I mean, obviously you just take it apart, apply a little bit more, and you should be good. But that really is, for a brand new knife, all you should really have to do. Let me get this back on there. You know, it helps to have these little, like, they're almost like eyeglass screws or like small tools that help get stuff like that in there. Because it really does kind of start to hurt your fingers after a while, fucking around with these little small ass things. So as you can see there. Now, I don't suggest putting these in tight because you're going to want to, you know, loosen things up if need be. So just get them tight enough. You know, just like anything else. Anything else that you work on, don't tighten everything fully down until you're positive you got everything where you want it to be. And this one here, I can tell that there is,
This is my first time trying to do this on camera, by the way, too, so it's really tricky to try to figure this part out while hovering over a camera and trying to mess with these tiny ass little parts. Now the other thing too, you may or may not want to Loctite some of this stuff down there. I do have some Loctite here. I'm just putting it back together to make sure that it's going to work, but when it comes to actual use, I do intend on Loctiting this down just so parts don't come apart, you know. Alright, there she is, all done. Flytanium, black titanium scales on the Hogue Deka Gen 2. See, I'm gonna have to dial it in, but loosen her up just a little bit. Action's not too bad for just kind of, you know. Oh, she's dropping pretty good. Yeah, just a little bit of fine tuning, dialing her in, and you know, all done. But that's what it looks like.
So there you go. We successfully changed out the stock Hogue Deka Gen 2 scales with the new Flytanium black titanium scales. And we did a little bit of routine maintenance on the knife too, so that way you guys got an idea and an understanding of what it looks like when you take something like this apart. You know, you take the scales off, you can kind of see the inner workings there, and you know how it interacts with crossbar locks or axis locks or liner locks or button locks. You know, all the different variations that are out there for it. This didn't really get a chance to get dirty because it was fresh out of the box, but anybody that uses their tools, I mean, you always got to maintain them, you got to clean them, oil them, so you got a little bit of a look at what that's like. I mean, for a lot of you folks out there, you probably already kind of have a way that you do things. So for those that don't, you know, the person that maybe is just now getting into EDC or knives, gives you a good starting point for it. So I'm looking forward to not retiring my Benchmade. This is still my #1 for now, but I'm really looking forward to using this Deka and this Magnacut and seeing what all the hype is about for it. I know I'm a little bit late in the game. It's been out for a couple years, but it's new to me, so we'll see how that goes with that one. If there's anything that you guys found interesting or helpful in this video, please leave a like, leave a comment, you know, do all that kind of fun stuff. Let me know what you guys carry and mods that you've made to it. I know right now, looking at it, the first thing I kind of want to do is see if I can get a lanyard into there comfortably, because they're nice, it's a deep carry clip, but I just like having that little extra something there to kind of shore up where my pinky is and to pull it out of my pocket there too. So if there's anything that you guys like to use or do or any of that stuff, let me know. And I'll see you guys in a future video. Peace.